on Start Me Up Video, we are joined by Albert Baer to discuss strategies and how to successfully bring your product to market. With 20 years of experience, Albert has led financial and operational execution of North America's and Asia's most famous tech companies. Thank you for joining us, Albert.
Good to see you.
Currently, Albert's most recently founded company is Cavit Technologies. Do you mind telling us a little bit about your company?
Sure. So it's a clean tech company that what it is, it actually produces a box about yay big, silver. You screw the thing in. It has 2 wires in, 2 wires out. You stick it into commercial lights like the room we're sitting in right here, and it reduces electricity by 30 to 40% instantly with no change of any infrastructure.
Wow.
Very cool device.
That's amazing. And how long have you been working with Cavit?
Well, it's been different forms. So we started off with our own company, Baer & Associates, and we got involved. The file was brought to us by the government probably 3 years ago. We started getting more involved, and about a year and a half ago, we got really, really involved in business, and we sort of dove all in, and we've taken it from literally a PCB board with some wires hanging off it and a brilliant but yet crazy engineer to the product now, which seems to be Canada's hottest clean tech product. It's
wow.
Kind of cool. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. A lot of awards.
So let's take it back a step to when you were working with your crazy engineer and you had it all wired
Crazy brilliant engineer.
Crazy brilliant, sorry out there. So when you just developed this new innovative product,
yeah.
Did you develop a patent before proving market traction?
Well, it's a great question, because so what happens is whenever you're dealing with technology, you know, in the space that I'm in, intellectual property or ownership of your intellectual rights is a complete fundamental. It's no different than if you're in the music business and you don't own your song. You need to own your intellectual property. So when we get involved with companies, if they don't have intellectual property, something which is, you know, for lack of better terminology, ownable, something where it's your asset and you can do what you want with, then we generally walk away from the company.
So how do you go about developing that working patent to continue development of your product?
Well, that's 2 questions. So if you want to start developing a patent, so, you know, it's actually, you know, God bless the internet, because it makes life a lot easier than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago, like far, far easier. So the first most important lesson to be learned in this discussion today is called uspto.gov. I'll say it again, uspto.gov, United States Patent and Trade Office.government. What happens is if you want to do underwater basket weaving machine, you go into the search field, it's a Boolean search, you go underwater basket weaving, click, and it'll come up and it'll tell you anything which is prior art. It's being registered up to that point in time. It's not an exhaustive list, it's not a full list, but it's an amazing way to start, and unfortunately the lawyers don't like that, because you just saved yourself about $3,000 of searching, and it was done instantly.
Yeah.
Right? Number 1. You do that, you do a Google search, you want to go to GoDaddy, you want to make sure that you can see if you can find domains that are tied to that. So you just want to make sure to see if something's clear first to go. So that's really the first step that you go to see if there's other people that have thought about this before. Because unfortunately, you know, good ideas are generally come from one people, comes from lots of people, and it's he who gets there first. However, if you go and it appears that the patent has not been done, I believe it's a common fallacy that people think that you need to spend, you know, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars on patents. In time, maybe, it could be, but at that point your company's worth millions and millions of dollars, so you can afford it. You know, you can start patenting for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and you do it, and this is another important lesson, you do it in the United States. You do the United States first, because we live in this wonderful country called Canada, but the business is down south, right? So you do something like that, you go online, there's lots of services that do this kind of stuff now, and you get started, and you do not ever show your technology to anyone else until you get the patents done. You keep anyone under NDA. Fundamental rules, because that's why you protect your intellectual property. Why am I going down this whole diatribe telling you this? The reason why is because if you assume that you're going to have a successful company, hopefully, that you have your latest, greatest widget,
yeah,
right, and hope to succeed and you start making revenue, ultimately the disposition of almost every small technology company in the history of technologies, they get bought, right? Period. That's the end game. That's the ninth inning. That's the third period, because that's when you make your last big money. And then you move on to the next game. If you don't have your patents locked down, your value, it's not a value, it's not neutral, it's a negative. You can, if you have patents, it gives you value, right? When the Cisco comes to you, or the Google comes to you, or the Apple comes to you, and if you don't, chances are they'll never buy you in the first place, because there's nothing they can defend. So I cannot underscore the imperative of patents.
Okay. So let's just say you, with your crazy brilliant engineer, you just got the patent, and you got the final prototype, the final product, not the prototype, sorry, and you're ready to go to the market.
It's never a final product. It never stops getting fixed.
Okay. Something to talk about another time, that's for sure. So how do you ensure that your go-to-market strategy, when you first bring the product out, does it fit the needs of your business model, the customers, and your different channels?
Great question. So I'm going to come at it from a different way. There's sales approach, which is, would you like to buy my widget?
Okay.
That's a salesman. A marketing person comes back and says, so what's your problem? Right? And once I understand what your problem is,
As a consumer?
Yeah, or the target audience,
Okay.
which we'll talk about in a second, is once you understand what the problem is, then it's easy to sort of figure out how you worm your way in there,
Right.
as opposed to sort of throwing them with blunt force trauma. So you have your widget, right? And then the question is, how do you go and figure out the go-to-market? It's easy. You know, intuitively, you know who's the ultimate consumer of your product. When you sell an iPad 2, you know exactly the profile of the dweeb that's sitting in Eaton Center for the last 36 hours standing in line for an iPad 2, right? You know that. So once you understand who that person is, that's your bogey. That's your target. The question is, how do they buy today? How do they consume today? The trick for doing this is the fundamental is always through distribution. It's extremely, extremely, extremely expensive and very slow to try and do these sales yourself. Watchword here is partnership. For all the guys that know me out there and have heard from this before, this is the thing I beat on all the time. First of all, never ever focus on Canada. Canada's a great place for doing a couple $100,000 of revenue. We live in a wonderful, fantastic city. It's a big city, right? But if you put a city of Chicago and a city of Toronto side by side, who are virtually identical sized cities, the Chicago guys will buy 5 times as much of your product as the Torontonians will, because we're Canadians and they're Americans. And they'll move 5 times faster than you. So the message is, American markets, American distribution, that's how you go, and that's how you bring your product to market. And it's really easy then, because then you know if you have a pen, you go to the big pen guys, right? If you have a computer technology stuff, you take it to a Google, or you take it to a Cisco or whatever. If you have paints, you take it to Pittsburgh Paint and Glass in the States.
Okay. Okay. And you talked about quite a bit about getting that target audience and finding that consumer.
Fundamental.
It's a huge part, I imagine. So how do you go about to ensure that you've picked the right target audience? Because if you rely so much on that,
yep, another great question, right? Trick for doing this is whatever product you generally have, generally there's always 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 use models, which manifest themselves in terms of markets, right? You can take the same technology and you can put it into this market over here, you can put this into this market over here. Never bet on one market, ever. You have strong suspicions. You can go and you can start test marketing, you can start pushing it through the channel, but always, always, in my opinion, be running 2 markets. Even if it's an 80-20 or a 20-80 or 70-30, note I didn't say 50-50. And if one market proves itself to be wrong, and you know it because if the dog doesn't eat the dog food, pass. Don't ask why. It's empirically it is what it is. You don't need to figure it out. It's good enough you're not making money. Then have that third market. Have a C and a D and an E, and you have 4 or 5 plans, and you keep cycling through it, and then sooner or later you'll hit. Or if you may not, and if you don't, then it's time to walk away from your business, because then you've gone cycle through all your markets.
does it get difficult to align brand management and sales strategies and marketing with all these different markets? Is it okay to differentiate between brands? Or?
You got some good questions there. The problem with brand is, in today's world, to try and build a brand is extraordinarily expensive. I mean, in the old days, we used to say it cost $2 million to do something like that, right? $2 million is a bucket load of, I don't know about you got 2 million beans on you?
I wish.
Yeah, right? And so nowadays, it's not 2 million beans, now it's 5 to 10. But it goes back to my comment about partners, right? And again, for the people that know me, I'm a big fan of cooperative marketing, right? So what happens is if you have the better light bulb, take it to GE for God's sakes, and get them to put their name on it. And you'll take your little 20 cents of the action or 30 cents of the action, let them distribute the product. That's called an OEM, right? Or they want to white label it, right? Because to go and to put into the United States, remember, so I'm a proud Canadian, but I've lived in the States for like half my life. If you think that $5 million or $10 million, which is a substantial amount of money by any measure in Canada, if you think that makes, that's like 2 Super Bowl ads. I mean, it's a penny in the Grand Canyon. So it's very difficult to thinking in terms of brand as the driver of this. You should think about revenue, and then how do you align yourself with it. And it may not be your brand. Maybe someone else's brand.
Okay.
There's always a bigger company above you.
So in terms of time frame, how do we know we released our product to market? How do we know after so long, will it be a success, will it be a failure? Should we move on to the next one?
Sure. So I have a rule of thumb, if you can't make $1 million, walk away. Right? Why? Because you basically get a job and not have the hassle and have to work 20 hours a day and worry about having your mortgage worried about and stuff. I mean, there's the nice thing about being an entrepreneur is it's exhilarating. You have a lot of fun, you can make a lot of money, right? But it's not for the timid. right? It's
Right.
really not. And you know, when you go to school and everything, it's not difficult and it doesn't take long to start making $100,000. It doesn't take long at all, right? You know, and if you're qualified and you go up the ladder. The problem is that you, if you have a small company, it's okay for the first year to have no revenue when you're building it.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute you've built it and it's out, and you know something where you're asking some customer for that money, please give me my $50 or give me my app for 99 cents or whatever. That if you can't see yourself making $1 million by the end of the year, because generally you don't do it alone, you're with your buddies. You're with your buddies. You got a couple partners, a couple guys you went to school with. You all hang out together, and you say, you know, we're excited about this project, and we do it. And then by $1 million, by the time you start slicing it across a whole bunch of people, it's like cat food. It's not a lot of money because it's before taxes and this and that. And it's one thing to do it for 1 year, but as you get older, then you have families and kids and other responsibilities and everything, then it starts sucking, right? And you know, it should be $1 million, in my opinion, after year one, it should be $1 million, year one of the product in market, not the development,
Okay.
right? $1 million in first year, $3 million in the second year, up you go from there. And if you can't see, and then you count on smart finance people to make sure that the sales guys aren't idiots and blow all the money that they're making.
Right.
So it's not just about the top line, it's about the bottom line, making sure you have control of it, right? By the end of the second year, your company should be making money. Your $3 million business should have dropped a few $100,000 EBITDA at that point, and then look out year 3. And if not, walk away. It's an opportunity cost. The hardest thing for people to do sometimes is to kill their business, but sometimes, in many cases, it's the smartest thing to do.
All right. Well,
Food for thought, huh?
yeah, definitely. We all need to sort of gather insight in all this. Before we wrap up, are there any more key elements you find that entrepreneurs miss when it comes to bringing their new product to market?
Undercapitalizing the business.
Okay.
Right.
Can you expand?
Yeah, get money.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's true. It's true. So you know, we had one of the classes, one of Dr. Gideon's students for a year, and it was great having them, and. You know, they saw firsthand what happens when you have enough money to do what you need to do and when you don't have enough money you need to do, and then what you have to do to get the money to need so you know what to do. These things, you know, if you think you're going to go into a business with $10,000 or $20,000 and go to market and go and figure out brand and all this kind of stuff, and here's the kiss of death, right? You think you're going to be able to do this on your own cash flow? I've worked with a lot of companies at this point, a lot of companies, all in the same form. Some people are a little bit older, some people are a little bit younger, but they're all young companies by definition. And every time, if they don't have enough capital, then they die. Every time, if they count on cash flow. And I cannot tell you enough, and it's something which I try to work on also with the government and stuff like this as well. It's very important. We have this funding gap in this province, the funding gap, and you hear about it, but it's completely true. As you build your business, go to friends and family, go cobble together a couple $100,000, because generally that's what it takes by the time you start getting, whether it be websites or getting a brand designed or getting your patents filed. You'd be amazed how fast $200,000 just vaporizes. It sounds like a lot of money. It's not. And it's not, notice I didn't say 25 or 50, right? And you collect the money from the people because you know the people that are in franchise if they start giving you checks. And by the way, the people you go to are your friends and family, so don't screw up, because otherwise they're not going to be your friends nor your family anymore.
Right.
It's so important to make sure that you have enough capital in the bank to do it, because hard work and genius and passion it won't be enough, and it's just great advice. And if you can't do it, then the problem you're going to have is it goes back to that comment about not making $1 million that year. Because ultimately, at the end of the year, you got a balance sheet and an income statement. Go get that $1 million. Go get a couple $100,000. You know, start cranking it up, and you'll be off to the races. But I'm sure you'll do great.
Well, thank you for your time, Albert. It's great hearing someone with so much experience in the industry and trying to, I guess, mold it into a useful package for all the entrepreneurs out there.
My pleasure.
So thank you very much for your time.
Anytime.
And entrepreneurs out there, if you found this interesting, please subscribe to our channel at Start Me Up Video, and check out our website at startmeupryerson.com for more resources. Thank you.